evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 266, and it is Saturday the 14th. With me tonight to discuss this somewhat classic comedy back from 1981 is my son, who is joining me for Father's Day. And here is Ryan. Hey, Ryan.
Hi,
everybody. Thank you for being my guest co-host tonight, Rye.
Yeah, of course. Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Thanks, Rye. I really appreciate it. Love you.
Love you too.
And I guess I kind of went in with that lead-in that we were going to be talking about Saturday the 14th. However, with that said, as many people may know, this movie was, let's say, not the best movie in the world.
It was great. That's why it was yesterday, not today. If you look at your calendars. You leave that one in the past.
Well, the whole joke of everything with this was that on Friday the 13th, Ross and I were discussing Famous Fathers in Sci-Fi, which was taking place on Sunday, which was for Father's Day. And then I thought, you know what? It would be really cool to have you on the show for Father's Day. And then I thought, well, you know what? We could do a twist and then, talk about maybe Friday the 13th. And I thought, no, you know what? Let's take it one step better. Let's talk about Saturday the 14th. So I had this epiphany of a light going on, and let's just say that light was darkened very quickly after seeing the preview of that movie that I hadn't seen in 44 years. And I quickly warned Rye that after viewing about half of it, I thought maybe we'd like to go into a different direction to celebrate Father's Day.
But it's a cult classic.
It is a cult classic, and I actually saw that in the movie theater. I believe I saw it with Uncle Joe, Ross's cousin, and maybe Joe Brickman, and maybe some other folks. I'm not sure. It's all a blur, right? So, with that said, before I go on, I want to say hi to the folks that are out there, and I see Randy Lee's joining us. Randy, welcome. Randy's joining us from Wisconsin. And I see Shari's out there. She's joining us from next door, from Boacon, New Jersey. And Shari's saying, hey, guys, happy Father's Day to you, hubby. Hi, Rye. Glad you could come on with your dad. So anyway, with that said, I thought, what would be a good episode to discuss? Or a story to discuss. And I was kind of thinking back about the shows that we discussed, the different famous fathers and science fiction that we discussed on Friday. And I decided to go with the Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode, The Visitor. And for the folks out there that were Star Trek Deep Space Nine fans of the series, this is probably one of the best episodes of the series. Now, I did not watch Deep Space Nine religiously. There's episodes that I still have not seen, and that's okay. But I did see this episode when it first premiered back in October of 1995. And it's a very emotional story. And it was just, the acting to me was right on par and everything. But anyway, I thought this would be a great story to discuss, and I ran it past Rye, and he was on board with doing it, and that's what we're going to discuss tonight. So here we are.
It's definitely an episode that has a very fatherly son tone to it.
Yeah, I thought so. I really did. So yeah, we'll get started shortly. I want to say hi to Jenny, Rye. Jenny's saying hello to us, and Jenny is joining us from Australia. Hi, Jenny. Thanks for being out there. So with that, today is actually tomorrow in Australia.
Oh, so they're already past Father's Day.
Yeah. So they're about maybe I think Jenny's about 14 hours ahead of us, at least minimal, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, thanks for being out there. And let's see, Randy's saying, so you're running with Ryan today. Figuratively, yes. Literally, no.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. And it would only be for a short duration. I wouldn't be able to keep up. I used to get my sprints in, though. Right?
Yeah, up until you were about 50, you could outsprint me.
Then it was all downhill from there.
I just started stealing your life force.
We all have the puns going on tonight, don't we? Martin is joining us. Welcome, Martin. Martin just celebrated a birthday, so happy birthday, Martin. Welcome.
Happy birthday.
Jenny's saying happy Father's Day in the States. Father's Day is in September here. Yes, 14 hours ahead. Oh, okay. Thanks, Jenny. So anyway, Ryan, let me ask you a question. Now, I'm not sure. I think I know the answer, but did you watch? Have you seen a lot of Deep Space Nine episodes or any? I know Mom was a Star Trek Voyager fan, but in regards to Star Trek Deep Space Nine,
if I did, it would have been a case of I watched it when you had it on the television when I was 2 or 3, and I'm going to admit I don't have any real recollection of emotional attachment to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. No, it's. I probably watched the first, the earlier episodes, maybe in the first season, and then I kind of dropped off from it. Star Trek: The Next Generation was as far as shows that came after Star Trek from the 60s. Star Trek: The Next Generation I followed religiously from the beginning to the end, but then with the other incarnations, I really kind of fell off. So I mean, there were like one-offs. In fact, Nick Tate was in a Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode, which is also a favorite of mine. Not just because Nick's in it, but it was that's part of it. But it was really an excellent story too. I mean, it really was, and the camaraderie that he has with Comini in that episode is really good. And it's called Honor Among Thieves. If anybody's seen that episode, which I'm sure a few people out there have. It was done very, very well. I actually got to talk to Nick about that. But yeah, I thought this was really good because with this specific episode and with the background of Jake Sisko and Captain Sisko, I mean, they have a really strong father-son bond. And essentially there's an accident that takes place in engineering because what's happening is they are out in the Defiant to view a wormhole that is essentially Martin say drink. That's because I said camaraderie. That's all. You heard that story, right, Rye?
No.
No, you didn't. So anyway, he said camaraderie a lot on the show, and then what Ross did was he got in touch with all the viewers and said every time Roy does that, type drink in the comments. And then Ross and the viewers were taking shots. And then I would see that everybody writing drink, and I had no idea what was going on.
Did everybody get wasted?
Pretty much. Including Ross.
That's even better. I need to go look that episode up.
Yeah, exactly. It's going back about 4 years. But anyway, so what happens is they're out to witness the wormhole doing this special expansion, which I believe takes place only once, like maybe every 50 years, give or take. And as a result of this happening, the Defiant the engines are affected, and there's a temporal distortion, which catches Sisko and also Jake momentarily in this temporal wake. And as a result, Captain Sisko just disappears. He vaporizes, and Jake thinks he's dead, and the entire crew thinks he's dead. And then they actually have a service, and they mourn him and everything. And Jake isn't getting past it. And what happens is one night, I think it's about 8 months later, Jake wakes up in his quarters and Cisco has reappeared, but he's only there momentarily. And then everybody thinks that maybe he was having a bad nightmare. But then months later, I think maybe 4 months later or so, this reoccurrence happens again. And then they know it's not something that is imaginary. It's not him having a dream, but it's a reality. And what they try to do is they try to see if they can stop him from phasing out, so to speak, but are unsuccessful. But that's the crux of the story, and it really evolves with Jake trying to bring his dad back, and the grieving process of that, because he really isn't he's not dead. It's just that he's trapped in quote unquote subspace.
Yeah, but it was really depressing and also heartwarming at the same time.
Yeah. But yeah, so tell me your thoughts about the episode, Rye.
Yeah, I feel like it touches on a lot of things. It touches on the importance of father-son relationships. It touches on the importance of when you're a kid, as you grow up, from a father's perspective of always wanting to check in and make sure that you connect, even if it's not necessarily in the way that you expect. And that also from a son's perspective, that if your father is gone, your father is not, your parents in general just aren't right there for you. You'll always be able to either reflect back on the time that you had, which is very powerful, or again, you need to keep living your life, which again goes back to the initial message that was delivered from father to son at the beginning, and then has an emotional twist at the end where the son is then delivering the same thing back to the father and gets the aspect that we almost none of us get, which is a second chance at life.
Yeah, no, that's so well said. And all of this is happening. All of this is explored. It's just a really powerful story. And in Deep Space Nine probably wasn't one of the shows from the Star Trek franchise, at least for me, that was like, I'll say my favorite. But it's just that it really gets it. They really hit the head on the nail with this episode. Martin's commenting. He says, "I like the DS9 episode where Jake and Cisco pilot a Bajorans solar sail ship from Bajor to Cardassia." Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing about that one, Martin, and it again because it explores the relationship between the two, and that's one thing too with this. Very early on, I mean, in regards to the dynamics of the series, Jake is living on the space station with his dad. Unfortunately, Jake's mom was killed earlier on and before they go to Deep Space Nine, and it was when the whole invasion when takes place with Wolf 359 in the Best of Both Worlds, when Picard becomes Locutus of Borg because he's taken by the Borg, and then what they do is they put their cybernetic implants into him, and then he's forced and coerced to essentially destroy the fleet because he knows all the secrets of the Federation. And so many starships are destroyed. And the starship that Commander Cisco was on, along with Jake and his wife, was destroyed. And then his wife, Jennifer, was killed in that starship. And they barely make it out alive. So it's just that it's really the father-son aspects of the show. With him being on Deep Space Nine, he's growing up on Deep Space Nine. That has become his home, in regards to the backstory. So their relationship is very strong, and that's why it's even that much more powerful when all of this pretty much happens, and it happens just like that, and it's just very abrupt. To Ryan's point too, I mean, the story starts out where they're basically on the ship, and they're taking the Defiant out to observe this phenomenon with the wormhole. Jake really didn't want to go because he's a writer, and he really is trying to isolate himself on the station where he's working on his novel. And then what happens is Cisco pretty much nudges him along to join him because this is like a once in a lifetime almost a lifetime type of an experience. So he agrees to go along, but then while even he's on the ship, he's isolating himself again. And that's when Cisco was basically telling him, come on, you can put the novel away just for now, put it on hold. As a writer, you have to embrace reality and take that all in, and then you can come back to it. And just as they're getting ready to do this, that's when everything basically rips apart in the engineering section, and the wormhole is affecting the engines and the warp core, and basically the engines are going to blow. They try to eject the warp core, which in Star Trek lingo means that if they don't, it'll be a matter antimatter explosion. And when they get down to engineering, everyone's incapacitated. And Cisco is fighting against time. He only has like about 40 seconds to try to shut the engines down manually. And while he's doing this, Jake is helping him out. And he asks him for a special device, which he doesn't find right away. And then Jake hands it to Cisco. And when that happens, and then he's able to shut down the engines, there's an electrical discharge that goes off between the two of them from the wormhole. And then that's when basically everything just starts happening.
Yeah, and to your point about him writing about he's a writer, it's kind of interesting and kind of plays into the notion of where you spend your time. Writing is often either exploring fantastical worlds or reflecting on the past. And when you're writing about stories, because he was writing collections of different stories, you're always in the present when you're writing. But at the same time, if you're writing, you're removed from the present. So this notion and this tussle between the past, the present, escape from reality, and living through your own reality, and how he wound up he was obsessed with writing, and then he became equally obsessed with space and the space-time continuum, which, again, you can make them almost parallels to each other in that sense that they're a temporal escape, the subspace and the writing itself. And those are the things he's obsessed with, and it ultimately destroys all the relationships in his life, which is basically what his father had been warning about. Mm-hmm. And he's bringing that to fruition and caring excessively about his father through pursuing subspace, through his divorce, not having grandchildren, and ultimately sacrificing himself to give his father another shot.
Right. No. So it's so true, because the very thing that he's clinging to propel him into the future is really keeping him back in the past, so to speak. And it's locking him in the present.
The anchor, as he described it, even.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics going on.
And then it used a classic frame-tail narrative, too, which you have the mentorship between Jake, I don't remember her name, but who kind of kicks off the whole story.
Oh, with Dax.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Dax is essentially Benjamin Sisko's best friend. Now, Dax, to give you a little backstory, too, because you wouldn't know, Dax has a symbiote inside of her, and the symbiote essentially goes from host to host. So the host will eventually pass, because the host's age will be a lot less in years as compared to the symbiont. So Curzon Dax was Benjamin Sisko's friend from the past. When he comes to Deep Space Nine, he gets to know Jagzia Dax, and the symbiote is in Jagzia now, and they call they're called trills. And this was something that was introduced in Star Trek The Next Generation, and then they introduced this into Deep Space Nine as having her be one of the major characters.
Wow.
And to your point, she acts as she is a mentor. And also there's Major Kira. Now, Major Kira is in charge of the space station, Deep Space Nine, and she's kind of looking after Jake as well, too, because she's almost like a role model. There's different personalities, different people that are close to Benjamin Sisko, and it's almost like becomes an obligation. And then there's the whole situation that's happening with how they say if you move a pebble of sand on the beach, all of time will change. And that's the one thing about time travel stories. What happens is with this, Cisco in the very first episode, which is called the Emissary, he is the quote unquote emissary to the Bajoran people, because the Bajorans have what they call the prophets, and he connects with them, and it's an influence, that a presence that he has with the Bajorans that affects the relationships in that sector. Now, with him gone, things start to break down. There's discussion about the Klingons, that they're going to take over the station. So things start to go in a different direction. Had not this happened, different timeline, different events. So it's the what if game, so to speak, and the parallel worlds, and that's everything that's that goes along with time travel. And that's what's so cool about Star Trek, because when Star Trek does deal with time travel episodes, usually they're right on. I mean, there's been some comparisons. This episode, going back before I hit the comparisons, this episode was actually voted as the 6th best episode at the Las Vegas convention back in 2016, which was to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. So the series, again, may not have been at the top as far as Star Trek incarnations. Now, granted, there's a lot of things that are out now since 2016, but essentially the core shows were Star Trek from the 60s, Star Trek for the Next Generation in the 80s, Deep Space Nine, which came out in 93, and then Star Trek Voyager, which came out in 95, and then Enterprise, which came out in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of different things going on, though.
A lot of ways for roads to lead back to Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. Castello Daniel Garcia is out there. Hey, thanks for joining us. He's saying like 3, and I'm not sure what you mean, but if you can just add to your comment. Thanks, and thank you for joining us on the show too. It's appreciated. So, but yeah, so it's when I was going to say about comparisons, Star Trek The Next Generation did an episode which was called The Inner Light, and that was a fantastic episode. And it dealt with Picard basically, I'll say it comes across that he's attacked by an alien probe, and he's only connected to the probe for like 22 minutes. But what happens is he lives a lifetime with memories from the probe. He gets indoctrinated into the culture of the people that the probe came from, and it was just a very powerful episode for Next Generation. And then, of course, there's for Star Trek from the 60s, City on the Edge of Forever, which was with the Guardian of Forever. Now, that was definitely a time travel episode where Kirk and Spock go back in time and to try to make things right that McCoy had disrupted. And they don't know if that, they find out Edith Keeler is the focal point, but they don't know if she needs to live or she needs to die, and if McCoy prevents her from dying or if he kills her. But all they do know is that all time will be changed depending upon what happens because of his actions. And then they're trying to find that out. And it's a very powerful episode. So, but in regards to the writer, though, of this, it was interesting because reading about him, Michael Taylor, he was a writer that was living in New York, and he was a guitarist. And then he did this episode. And then he later on went on to work for Star Trek Voyager for 3 seasons and the 3 final seasons. And then after that, he did The Dead Zone. He was a producer and a writer on that. And then he also, for Battlestar Galactica fans, we talked about on Friday, not the original series from 78, but the new series that came out in the 2000s. He was a writer and co-executive producer on Battlestar Galactica too. So, yeah. So, oh, hi, Glenn. Hi, Mom. How you doing? Happy Father's Day, Glenn. Thanks for being out there. And I'm not sure.
Happy Father's Day.
I don't know if Tom's out there, but please tell him Happy Father's Day too. So, any other points you would like to share, Rye, about the episode?
No, those were all the major things. I think it was just, again, it was sad, and just kind of harkens back to, again, the importance of checking in with each other and not getting caught up on time that's missed, but being excited for the building the life that you want to have that you can share. His dad, every time he only saw him maybe once every 7 years, every 14 years, it continued to increase in time and duration before he saw him.
Right.
Cisco saw his son Jake, and the only thing he cared about was, what have you done? How are things going? And the most important thing he wanted was for his son to live out the life that his son wanted to pursue and was capable of pursuing. And it was, again, that tussle with Jake just wanted to work on how to get him to come back, and that dynamic. And again, it hits home a little bit harder just because as we get older, as a kid, you look up to your dad, and your dad is kind of like this eternal father figure. And as a father, I'm guessing I'm not one at the moment, but as a father, you watch as your kid goes from being small to being a teenager to being an adult to being an older adult. And then if God bless you, we all make it, you get to have it be a case of you get to see your child be an old man. And at that same time, there's always going to be this internal lens, like this external lens of you're looking at what you remember from the core moments. But at the end of the day, at least from the way it's perceived, you're getting that angle from the father watching a kid grow all the way up, and the pain of outliving your child that comes with that. And then at the same time, again, the grieving process for losing your father. And as I get older, I become more and more grateful that you're still here.
Aww.
So, and we've definitely had our share of scares and bumps more recently than not. So it hits home a little bit harder.
It definitely does. And just in regards to how fast, when everything happened with me, with, everything that happened, I mean, you were there, like, because, you're down in Texas, but you were there like as fast as you could be. So it's, it definitely resonated for me too, in regards to everything with this episode. I mean, when I first saw this episode 30 years ago, I mean, I was like, I'm just a sap anyway, but it really, it makes me teary eyed every time I watch this episode. Cause I just, I think about the dynamics of, between you and me. I think about Pop. It's very emotional. And to your point too, I mean, what's happening is Benjamin Sisko is not aging. I mean, he's like in this limbo. So he's just existing, and it's like time does not, where he's at, time has no meaning. And yet outside of that realm, so to speak, time is just, it's flowing like a river. It's fluidic. And each time he sees Jake now, one thing, Jake is portrayed by Cyril Lofton, and they had considered trying to age him, but it wasn't working. So what they did was actor Tony Todd actually played Jake Sisko as an adult. Tony Todd, sadly, he passed away last year. He was very young. He was only 69 years old. He passed away from what was reported as being stomach cancer. Definitely was not new to the Star Trek universe. He played Worf's brother, Kurn, in Star Trek The Next Generation. But specifically in this episode, I mean, I just think he really nails it good. I mean, his delivery and everything he brings to the role of the adult Jake in this episode really just comes through. And I wish I had actually had the opportunity to have met him. He was at Chiller one year, and I did not get to talk to him, and I wish I had. And this is the thing. I mean, more and more time, a lot of folks sadly are passing because we're talking about the passage of time. I mean, we just lost from the Space 1999 universe. We were talking about this, Friday. We lost, Prentice Hancock, and then 5 days later we lost Clifton Jones. And Clifton was actually in a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode too. But yeah, it's very sad. But getting back to the episode, with all of these things taking place, and Ben Sisko is, like, as I was saying, he's locked in limbo, and until he comes with each jump, I'll say, when he materializes into the corporeal world, I mean, he begins to age, but it's you're talking minutes, so really it's negligible. And he's seeing Jake as basically like an old man. I mean, that's what happens as time progresses. And Jake figures out that no matter where he is, Sisko appears. And that's when he comes to the conclusion that they're linked through this accident that had occurred. And they call this episode The Visitor too. I should, reference that. And it was very, very well done, because it starts out where Jake is an old man and he's visited by a visitor. And interesting enough, the visitor is Melanie, and she's actually Andrew Robinson's daughter. Now, Andrew Robinson played Garak, the Cardassian, was a regular Cardassian on this show. And she wants to be a writer, and she knows all about Jake's history and how he wrote when he was younger, but then suddenly stopped. But what he did write was very memorable, and it really caught a lot of attention. And it was something that really she felt she could connect with. And she said she didn't connect with a lot of writers, but his writing really, I'll just say, moved her. And that's why she's determined to have contact with her. Or she's determined to have contact with him, excuse me. And he even says, if you had come yesterday or last week, I probably would have turned you away. But he lets her come in, he offers her tea, and offers to tell the story, and says, what's in the teaser is that the worst thing that could happen was that, he lost his dad at the age of 18, and then begins to tell the story throughout the episode. And it's just how everything unravels, which was done very well.
Yeah, the butterfly effect.
Yes, exactly. Right, I want to say hi to Claudia. Claudia is joining us, and thank you for the Father's Day wish, Claudia. And Dennis Chevalier is joining us from Canada. Welcome, Dennis, and happy Father's Day to you too, Dennis. And I should have said happy Father's Day to Randy out there too. I'm sorry I missed you on that, Randy. And I don't think Martin. I'm not wanted to wish you a happy Father's Day as well too. So I apologize if I missed anybody. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. So appreciate you being here tonight as we talk about The Visitor from Deep Space Nine. So now, had you ever seen? Do you remember seeing Tony Todd in anything, Ryan, before?
No, I'm pretty bad when it comes to movies, TV shows. You elevate my IQ when it comes to everything related to this sphere of the world.
No, he's definitely been around. Like I said, sadly he passed last year, but he's definitely been around and has done a lot of movies. He was actually a movie I'm sure you heard of, Platoon. He was in Platoon. He did Night of the Living Dead back in 1990, and then you're aware of the Final Destination films.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes. Jacinda, my girlfriend, she brought up Tony Todd. He had passed recently.
Yes. Yeah. So Jacinda knew, right? Who he was.
Yeah, as soon as you mentioned Final Destination, it just clicked because Jacinda had just brought it up recently.
Yeah. But yeah, very accomplished, very, very amazing voice too. Very deep voice. did voiceover work. Like I said, he played Kern in Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's where I first saw him. I didn't see the Candyland movies though, or Candyland movie. But,
Candyman.
I'm sorry, not Candyland. Candyman. Excuse me. Yes. Man, it was a series.
Because Jacinda had also mentioned about those movies, because we literally just had this conversation like 2 days ago about who Tony Todd was and the abysmal knowledge I have in terms of movies and lack thereof.
It's okay. Everybody's got their stuff that, I bet you if I mentioned anything about running, you could tell me though, right?
Oh, totally.
So,
but it's just interesting that literally we just had this conversation. So I guess we didn't know we were going to be watching this and then talking about this. So
that's right, because you said you just talked to her about this 2 days ago. So that is kind of eerie, actually. Wow. See, it was preordained.
I at least know what's going on.
See, there was a reason why we did not do Saturday the 14th, folks.
It's because it's Sunday the 15th.
That I would say that was the sequel, but they actually made a sequel to Saturday the 14th. I saw it in the writing. I don't even remember what it was called. The fact that they made a sequel to that, it just makes me shudder.
Sunday the 15th would have been a great sequel because of the fact that they're going by days of the week anyway.
Right. So really, there could have been maybe another 5 or at least 4 after that, right? they could have
run out of days of the month. Yeah.
They could have gone Monday through Thursday at least. Oh boy, we digress.
You're gonna write the sequels, right?
Yeah, I'll let you know how that goes.
Jumpstart your next career in screenwriting.
There you go. I mean, I really do like Richard Benjamin as an actor. I think he's pretty natural and he does a great job. And Paula Prentis, his wife, was in the movie. Now, you know what? With that said, and we'll come back to Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Has anybody out there seen Saturday the 14th? I'm just very curious about that. I would like to. I'm wondering. I think it's going to be us and the Crickets, right?
I was going to say the Crickets are coming.
I really think they are. I don't think it's going to go over pretty well. I suspect Glenn, if Glenn is still out there, that Glenn is seeing it. That's I'm going to go with that. Martin probably has seen it too, and actually Randy, if Randy's still out there too. Those are my guesses, but I know Sherry has not, and then Sherry's saying no, I don't think so. And Sherry,
you're not missing anything.
Yeah, you're not. Sherry was even saying before, I saw my dad today. He is 89. Very grateful to spend all the time with him that I can. Yeah. Well, and it was good seeing Pop-Up today, too. Pop-Up just turned 84, which is... Oof. Yeah. But anyway, nobody's saying anything about the movie, Ryan. Nobody's fessing up. Nobody wants to dare say they saw Saturday the 14th. We promise we won't hold it against you, honest.
Or tell anyone else.
Or tell anybody else. I mean, the numbers on this episode are dropping as we're speaking. Even the Crickets aren't signing in. Oh, boy.
Crickets are spending time with their fathers.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you a question. I popped this on you as far as talking about this episode and stuff, but is there another movie or that you think that you would have liked? Oh, Sherry's saying the Crickets are at ... Is there another movie or a television show that you would have liked to have talked about besides this?
Oh, geez. I got put on the spot.
I know. I'm sorry.
I mean, I guess my go-to default is always to go to the best father-son relationship of cinema, which is, well, I guess there's 2. You have The Lion King, and then you have, obviously, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, which is where I know you knew I was going.
Yeah, I knew you were going there.
But I didn't really know what else. I didn't have any specific idea going to Father's Day, but it's gonna sound cheesy, but getting to just spend time with my dad is the best part. It could be a case of me talking about a kitchen table or the rain outside.
Aw.
So I just
That's
let you kind of steer the ship when it comes to picking the movies, and I try to just keep up.
Oh, no, you're doing great, Ryan. There's nothing cheesy about it. Just my pick of movies. Interesting enough, Friday the 13th. I mean, the first movie, Friday the 13th, that was actually shot or filmed. I should say filmed, shot. It was filmed at Crystal Lake, which is right. It's right near Blairstown. It's literally like maybe from here. It's like 45 minutes away. And
Wow.
they shot that back in I think Well, the movie came out in 1980. They shot it back in 79. So yeah. And I think they were doing like tours up there for a little while, but then they kind of got away from it. But yeah.
So Cranford's becoming a hub for movies now.
Oh, Cranford is?
Mm-hmm.
Why? What are they doing there?
Nothing in the horror genre, but we've had Hugh Jackman come to Garwood, Natalie Portman, Seth Rogen, I believe. Pete Davidson came through. I believe the new Happy Gilmore 2 movie had parts of it that were filmed in.
Did hear about that. Yeah. Really? Hugh Jackman was in Cranford?
He was in. I don't know about Cranford, but I know he was in. Oh yes, he was in Cranford, and he was also in Garwood. They were at Crossroads.
Really? For what? What were they filming?
I don't remember the movie that was being filmed, but Hugh Jackman had a scene that was filmed in the Crossroads.
Wow.
He didn't show up for trivia night, but
And that was just recently?
in the last year.
Son of a gun. That's pretty cool.
So Garwood's on the map.
They're people just like everybody else. It's just that they're famous because they're in front of the camera. That's the only difference.
That also means that Garwood will become famous.
There you go.
We don't need fame, though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, going back to this episode, it was actually nominated for the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation of 1995. It did not win. A Babylon 5 episode had won, The Coming of the Shadows. So if there's any Babylon 5 fans out there, that pretty much took the win on that. But I was also interested to read that Apollo 13 was nominated. Apollo 13 came out in 95. Toy Story, which also came out in 95. But again, it was Babylon 5 that won. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
That is cool.
But yeah, so in regards to that, I would definitely recommend this episode. Especially, I mean, if you want to see a good amount of entertainment for 48 to 52 minutes, it's a definite DS9 episode that I would definitely recommend. So just curious out there, the folks that are watching, have folks seen this episode and remember it? And also Claudia's responding to bad movies. Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yeah, I love that movie, Claudia. That is just Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of my favorite movies, but I'm not saying I like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade more so, but I definitely like that movie. It's definitely a favorite. How about you, Ray? In regards to that, did you see that film? That's the one with Sean Connery playing Indy's dad.
The Last Crusade?
Yeah.
That's the one with the Holy Grail?
Yes.
It's been a really long time since I've seen it, but I've seen it once.
Okay. I'll have to subject that to you again.
I did like it more than I liked your favorite, which is Raiders. And I sadly would probably go in the order of 3, 2, 1.
Oh, you liked Temple of Doom better than Raiders? Are you kidding me? No. Really?
It was
Oh,
more entertaining.
I failed you, Ryan.
I have failed you, Ryan. I have failed you.
To quote Obi-Wan. Oh man.
Do not lecture me on the ways of the Crusades.
It's all over, Ryan. I got the high ground.
You underestimate my power.
I got the big screen.
I have the green screen.
Oh shoot. Sherry said, had seen this episode years ago, but then you showed it to me again and loved it. Aww. And Claudia's saying, you were named after the dog. You named the dog Indiana. A lot of fond memories of that dog. Nah, it's a great movie. I can't believe you liked the second one better than the first, though. Wow.
Dr. Jones.
What's that?
Dr. Jones.
Oh, short round. No time for love. No time for love, Dr. Jones. Hey, he did a great thing. And you know what was so cool? Is the fact that he won the Academy Award with Michelle Yeoh. That was really cool. And then he got to meet up with Harrison Ford. Yeah, Short Round. I can't think of the actor's name, but yeah, they lost me right when the raft went out of the plane. And they're on it, and no, I'm sorry. Ross and I were just talking about this on Friday too. And if you really want to get Ross going, ask him what he thinks about Indiana Jones #5 movie.
The last one.
Yeah.
I do think Raiders is better than the last one.
I'm really happy to hear you say that. There is hope. A new hope. Oh, boy. Anyway. Let's see. I think I got all the comments. But I guess we can start to wrap up. I think we pretty much hit all the main points about the episode, though. It was, we're not talking about a full-fledged movie, so not going to run as long with this. But it was about having you on the show, and spending time, and subjecting you to Star Trek.
Because all roads lead back to Star Trek, including Father's Day.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, and the director of this episode was David Livingston. So for folks that remember the first, I shouldn't say first is incorrect, but Star Trek, the movie Star Trek Generations, he directed Star Trek Generations. I am going to show some slides just to remind viewers in case they've seen this episode. So, and I was showing this slide. This Friday was from Friday. We were talking about Deep Space Nine. But yeah, there's when Sisko's phasing out. Oh, you know what? You can't see what I say.
He already phased out.
Yeah, it's because my computer's phasing out. It's going in and out of the space-time continuum. Oh, boy. Whoops. Hang on a second, folks. I apologize. We are having technical difficulties here. There it goes.
Going to a wormhole.
I'll try not to. So yeah, there's when he's phasing out. And there's Jake is an 18-year-old, and then there's Jake is a 40-year-old, and that's Tony Todd, and then there he is as an old man. He's with Melanie. And then the photo on the left is when they're in the limbo. And then you could see Dax and Nog. Now, interesting enough, too, they did... Oh, and then also Dr. Bashir, and you can see how they're older. They did film some other scenes, and they wanted to have Colmini, who plays O'Brien, also. Wow, the thing is just alive. It's got a mind of its own. Trying to go back. Hold on. Yeah, the computer's running amok here on me. Okay. But Comini was not available. So unfortunately, they didn't get a lot. They only had, like, I think, one scene that takes place with him when he's trying to put up like a confinement field and they're trying to, stop Cisco from disappearing. But that was it. But yeah. Let's see. I still have the comment there. Okay. But any last thoughts, Rye, about the episode?
No, I think that we've covered all the big things there.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. Well, I'm going to run through the shout outs really quickly just to give shout outs to everybody. So let me try to get that on and let's see if it works. So anyway, I want to give a quick shout out to Mike and Mary, our friends Mike and Mary Beth for Sci-Fi Distilled. They are on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. and they will be covering Jaws, the 50th anniversary of Jaws, and that'll be this Wednesday. So they actually have covered that before, as has Ross and I also. Ross and I we covered Jaws when it was turning 45, if I'm not mistaken, which is crazy. I mean, the show's been on we've been doing the show now for 5 years, which is insane. It's just the amount of time. But Jaws came out in 75 and it was a blockbuster movie, and it definitely blockbuster summer movie. And then made you think twice about going into the beach too.
Don't want to get eaten.
Exactly. Want to give a shout out to Country Gate Theater and oops, here it's running amok again. It's just going on its own. With Country Gate, if you are in the Belvedere, New Jersey area, you would definitely want to check out Country Gate. They just completed their showing of Death of a Salesman, and I have to give a shout out to Bill Scarrato, our friend Bill Scarrato. He was amazing as Willie. Knocked it out of the park. The entire production was incredible. But again, I just want to give a shout out to Bill. And in regards to Country Gate's schedule for information, you can go to their website, which is www.countrygate.org. And then also Bill has a website, which is www.billscarrato.com. So just a shout out in regards to that. I would keep the slides on, but the problem is it's just going to kind of just go on its own. The computer's running amok on me here. I want to give a shout out to Captain Phil, Captain Phil's Planet, WUSB 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York. The Captain Phil, is on alternating Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. And then he's also on Friday nights from 9 to 11:30 p.m. So definitely check out the Captain, my friend Captain Phil. Also, my friend Jeffrey Morris. Jeffrey is releasing The Eagle Obsession. It actually had a special showing at Wonderfest. And there's going to be a couple other special previews coming up as well. For information about The Eagle Obsession, you can visit the website, which is at www.eagledocumentary.com. Also, Lou is not out there tonight, but I want to give a shout out to Lou my friend Lou, in regards to the film that he did, which was called Found in Space. And it is available for streaming on YouTube. Lou has shared the URL in the past, so I can share it again, but definitely just wanted to make everybody aware. If you have not checked it out, definitely do so. I actually got to partake in this production, and it was a lot of fun. So, and as a reminder, my friend Warren and I will be doing the next episode of Space 1999, the podcast, which is this episode, and we will be having as special guests on, and it will be a live broadcast. It'll be Anton Phillips, who is Dr. Bob Mathias in the series, and then also Suzanne Heimer, who was Barbara Bain's stand-in for the series. And we will be discussing Dragon's Domain, episode number 23 from the first season. And we're also going to be doing a tribute to Clifton as well, too, and also just talking about Prentis. So mark your calendars. That will be July 6th. It'll be Sunday. We need to isolate the time, and we'll let everybody know what time that'll be. The next thing I want to let everybody know about is I'm going to be up at the Star Trek Original Series set tour. That is going to be June 27th, 28th, and 29th. William Shatner is going to be there. So mark your calendars for that. It's going to be an awesome event. Also, Barbara Luna, the captain's woman from the episode Mirror, Mirror, will be there. And Robin Curtis is going to be there. Michael and Denise Akuta are going to be there. There's going to be a lot of people up there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great to see friends. And also Sandy Gimple is going to be there too. So if the Salt Vampire from the Man Trap, also she was one of the Telosians in the Menagerie, or AKA the Cage. And again, the convention is the 27th, 28th, and 29th. So mark your calendars for that. And also want to let everybody know that the Space 1999 convention is going to be coming up, and that will be between September 12th through the 14th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's going to be some day trips going on before then as well and after. So go to the website, www.space199950years.com. It's going to be a special event. Also, there's going to be a teaming up with the International Breakaway Day is an international event because of there will be an Italian convention going on in Italy, and we are going to be doing like a simulcast with them for the event. So again, mark your calendars for that, and that will be taking place in September. That is only 3 months away. And then also I want to give a shout out to Martha for Studio One Thrift. Studio One Thrift, Martha's physical location is 115 Clinton Lane in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. If you want to check out the website, it's www.studioonethrift.com. You get freestyling updates. All you need to do is to be sure to register. And Rye, if you can let everybody know what you got going on in regards to your website.
Yeah, Run by Ryan, or going through runbyryan.com. If you have any interest in running, starting to run, you are a runner, coming back from injury running, just need guidance, etc. Runners of all types. I really enjoy doing it. If the price points seem crazy, shoot me a message. I just really enjoy helping people with coaching them through their athletic aspirations or just healthy lifestyle. So reach out, runbyryan.com.
Great. Thanks, Rye. And also I want to give a shout out to my friend and co-host, Ross Amico. Now, Ross has 3 shows that he does. Picture Perfect, which is on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. He also does Sweetness and Light, which is on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And he does The Lost Chord, which is on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now, the URL for that is kwax.uoregon.edu. As folks know that watch the show, Ross does have a Facebook page, which you can basically go to, and he talks about and teases the episodes and gives informational updates in regards to what he will be discussing on those shows. And lastly, if you do enjoy the show on Facebook, please be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Or like and share. And then if you also like it on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe and share as well. There is no cost associated with it at all. So we appreciate that. And I do apologize for the computer issues I'm having. The slides again are going a little mad. It's like AI is taking over and it's running amok. So anyway, I do apologize for that. And speaking of Ross and I will be back on Friday, June 20th, which is going to be this coming Friday. So stay tuned. I'm not sure what we're going to be discussing, but mark your calendars. And we will definitely let you know what will be transpiring at that time. And stay tuned for that. Give me 1 second, Ryan. I'm trying to. There we go. Okay. I got control back.
Skynet is not in charge.
Not at the moment, anyway. Oh, boy. That's all good. Anyway, any last words, Ryan?
I love you.
Aw, I love you too, buddy. Thanks for being on as my special guest. Don't go anywhere, but we're going to say goodbye to everybody first. And, thanks, Leslie. Appreciate it. Leslie's out there joining us. And happy Father's Day to your your husband too, Leslie. And thanks for being on. Until next time, everyone, live long and prosper. Happy Father's Day, and have a great week ahead. And we will hope to see you next Friday.
See you, everybody.
Bye.